TEPTU competition event, and here's the new participants. What's your name?
Kieran, Bissessar.
Okay, Kieran, can you tell us more about your project?
So my project is about the lupus malady. So I have this radical idea that maybe it's not autoimmune. Selena Gomez has it. Their great-great-grandma might have it. Lupus, the autoimmune disease. However, I can offer a more canonical view of the malady. But I'm saying lupus might not actually be caused by your antibodies, but instead bleach. Hear me, bleach. And through my data and analysis, I was able to find evidence for this bleach-like substance being a true cause of lupus, something that can radically change the medical field, allowing for more accurate diagnosis and effective treatments. So what I do, I looked at the lupus malady and I saw that it's happening for a very long time. This dates back to 460 BC, back when Hippocrates started to note people having this butterfly rash, a key symptom of lupus. Now it took 2,000 years after that for it to be even considered a disease. And it took another 600 years after that for there to be any real advancements in the field. For the people to realize that it was not only affecting their skin, but also their organs. So it is 2016, 1.5 million Americans still have lupus, 9 out of 10 being women, and women of color are twice as likely to get it than Caucasians. The disease is very difficult to diagnose. For example, there is not even a single test to determine if a patient has lupus. Also, the symptoms of lupus tend to come and go and mimic that of other diseases. So this tells me that we need to think outside of the box, right? Because it's been going on for so long, yet we know very little about the disease and haven't advanced since the 1800s. So what I'm asking you to do here today is to open your mind to other possibilities. So what I'm going to say is very radical, but as Albert Einstein once said, if the idea is not at first absurd, then there is no hope for it, right? So I started looking into the disease and I found that certain drugs can cause patients to get lupus, specifically hydralazine, isoniazid, and procainamide. Now these drugs treat completely different things, but they have one thing in common: they cause lupus. So that means there is a specific component in each of these drugs reacting to something in our body causing patients to get lupus. I'm diving into what is this something. What is these drugs reacting to in our body that causes patients to get lupus? So now I propose that this substance might very well be sodium hypochlorite. Now what is sodium hypochlorite? Sodium hypochlorite is a substance produced in our body to kind of keep us preserved, if you will. So if I had a glass of milk and I leave it on a table overnight, what would happen?
Well, it's gonna get sour, I guess.
It's gonna spoil. Yeah. But if I put it in a fridge, it wouldn't. So sodium hypochlorite sort of acts like that fridge. So the chemical makeup of sodium hypochlorite is NaOCl. Now this OCl bond is very important. So as opposed to the oxygen we breathe, which is an O2 bond, diatomic molecule, very, very stable. This OCl bond, not so stable, very reactive. The electronegativities are completely different, causing it very prone to be the reaction, and this reaction is very destructive. So this can account for the damage we see in these patients' organs. But just because it causes the damage, can cause the damage, doesn't mean that it does. So I looked more into this substance and I found that it is produced in the same areas that are affected by lupus. So sodium hypochlorite is produced in your liver, your kidneys, and your mouth. Lupus happens to affect your liver, your kidney, and your mouth. So one, it can cause the damage, and two, it's the same area that the damage occurs. That's enough for me to test it. So what did I do? I took each of these drugs and I stuck it into its own test tube. And now I added a yellow solution known as DTNB. Now I added the sodium hypochlorite. Now once you add the sodium hypochlorite, the solution goes from looking yellow, like apple juice, to clear, like water, right? Now, so what I'm proposing is that this reaction is happening stronger in presence of the drugs. That the sodium hypochlorite is becoming oxidatively stressed in presence of these drugs. Meaning that the color will go from yellow to clear much faster. So that's what I'm testing here today. So my data has shown that there is a correlation between these drugs and our sodium hypochlorite. That these drugs are causing the sodium hypochlorite to become more reactive, causing the color to go from yellow to clear much faster. Now this sort of provides evidence for there being the reaction present, for this reaction occurring that can account for the damage we see in our organs. right? So our next step would be to figure out what is the component in each of these drugs and then neutralize the specific reaction present. To neutralize the reaction between these drugs and our sodium hypochlorite. Prevent the reaction from occurring will prevent the damage from happening, preventing the disease from happening in the first place. Now I'm not saying, oh, I cured lupus, right? But I think it's enough to open the question that certain things should be reevaluated, right? As Albert Einstein once said, if the idea is not at first absurd, then there's no hope for it.
Right. Well, thanks for the explanation. Just let me ask you a few more questions. When did you start doing science?
This project?
No, I mean science in general.
Well, I mean, I've been doing science since as long as I remember, right? So back in elementary school, I was always like, my science is my favorite class because there's so many cool things that can go with it. And I'll continue doing it like in MIDWOOD High School. I'm in the med sci track. So all my classes are really science orientated. So I've taken AP Chem, AP Physics, I've taken Physics C, and all these different science tests. And then I further went into science by doing all this research, conducted for over a year now.
Great. And how old are you now?
I am 17, a senior.
Okay. And you plan to proceed with science as your future career, right? I think this is what you're gonna do. Okay.
I actually intend on continuing this research. So like at first I was going to be like an electrical engineer, but then after doing this I really found that biochemistry is pretty cool. So then all the colleges that I applied to, I put biochemistry as my main major. So this helped me realize what I wanted to do in the future, and it is something I want to continue doing throughout my academic career.
Well, this is actually very great that you actually already figured out what you want to do, because you're still in school and you already know what kind of major you want to have, because most people wait for like 4 years and then choose their major. So it's great, and I actually congratulate you with great research and wish you the good luck here. Thank you. Thanks very much.